One of the world's leading experts, and in my opinion, the world's leading expert on this topic, is Dr. Justin Frank, MD. He is a psychoanalyst and clinical professor at the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. He's the author of Trump on the Couch. Previously, he wrote Obama on the Couch and Bush on the Couch. Bush on the Couch was particularly eye-opening for me. That was a remarkable book. Obama on the Couch was fascinating. His Twitter handle is Justin Frank MD, and it's, you know, and his books, of course, are available any place you can get books. Dr. Frank, welcome back to the program.
Hi, thank you very much, Tom. Sorry about the visuals here.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We've got a nice picture of you up. So you talk about how when Donald Trump was 13 years old, his father found a cache of switchblades, and Donald was engaging in some very, very problematic behavior. How does this incident from his life inform us about the kind of president he has been so far and the kind of president he might be if he really gets pushed? For example, Russia really threatens us, or North Korea or China, or, somebody who actually has the power to follow through.
Well, I think that the main push that he's been afraid of has been Mueller more than Russia or China. We probably are more afraid of Russia and China, of course. But actually, it's really striking. His father told him that he was never allowed to go to Manhattan when he was about 10. And he would sneak in there a lot with a friend of his. And they saw West Side Story on Broadway and got fascinated by switchblades. And they started buying them and hiding them. He had a 9-inch knife. He had a couple of really huge knives, and his father finally discovered them and sent him off to military school immediately. He felt that he could not cope with Donald. Donald has a delinquent mind. He hates regulations. He hates being told what to do, and he's gone out of his way to live a secret life where he can do whatever he wants, devoid of rules. The only person who really understood him was his own father, who was also basically a criminal and a racist, but he did understand his son, Donnie.
Yeah. Now, his grandfather made his money in the original Trump fortune running whorehouses on the West Coast, if that word is something that you can use on the air. I'm not sure what else you would call them.
He did run whorehouses, and he bought a lot of land, but he ran whorehouses, made a lot of money up in the Yukon, actually, in the West, and up in Washington State. And then his son, who was born in 1905, by the time the son was about 12, that's Don's father, his father had died, and he sort of took over everything at a very young age with the mother's help. And he built a fortune and made a tremendous amount of money after World War II, where there were lots of GI Bills and amazing government support for returning veterans, and he just built that, took all kinds of money out of the government.
Right, this is Fred Trump. Right.
This is Fred Trump, his father, and took all kinds of money out of the government, built all these buildings, wouldn't rent to African Americans, was very viciously anti-Semitic, and actually lied about where he was born. He was born in Germany, and he had changed his name from a German name so he could rent to Jews, at least, because there were a lot of Jews in Queens. The point about Donald, that he's really like the son of a mob family, and unconsciously he wants to break things. He wants to do things secretly and avoid any kind of rules. And the only person he felt really got him was, he felt in his fantasy life, was his father and then Mueller, who instead of throwing him out of the house in Queens, was going to throw him out of the White House. And I think he was terrified. He is so relieved that Mueller did not say, indict, throw out. Right. And because of that, I think he feels that he's gotten a blank check to continue to do whatever he's doing. He is not a person who's interested really in anything. This morning, in fact, some people were talking on the morning show about how come he doesn't even do anything to help himself in the polls like do a few of the promises, like fixing infrastructure or doing certain things. He actually doesn't because he doesn't care about those things. He's not interested in polls particularly. He's interested in, obviously, in money, in getting away with things, and in breaking things. And he has been devoted to doing that ever since he was a kid. I don't know what else to say.
Well, you at one point you said he belongs in a structured mental health facility, not the Oval Office. Is that not hyperbole?
No.
Seriously.
As president, the only way to get through to him would be in a structured mental health setting. There are other people who are CEOs and also common criminals who have a similar psychology to Donald Trump, and they often get away with things, and then they're caught by the law. Donald has a brilliant group of lawyers. He's always escaped the law, but his goal is to demolish things, and he pretends to be a builder. He wants to prove that he's a builder, but actually he's a breaker. And as we have discovered, even in the last 2 years, that it's easier to break things, including institutions, than it is to build them, which has taken years.
Do you think he's trying to break the United States?
Yes. I think he's trying to break the United States. One thing I think he's really trying to do unconsciously is to get the word united out of the United States. He is constantly trying to set one group against another. He's trying to, it's called, we talk about it as being divisive and division. One of the congresswomen, the new ones, I forgot her name, Tlaib, said that the word she would use is disconnect. He disconnects things. He disconnects thoughts and feelings. He disconnects, she doesn't talk like a psychoanalyst, but she's talking about disconnecting us from ourselves, from each other. He disconnects people. He breaks the normal connections. So it's very hard to follow him. He floods us with tweets. He makes it very difficult for people to think and respond, and he is relentlessly brilliant at that. But he's disconnecting thought. He's attacking our capacity to think.
Wow.
And I think that's a very hard thing, because we have to sit back and think, but when everybody's busy checking his lies and checking out whether he's telling the truth and all the different things he's doing, we're like chasing after a comet.
Yeah. Doonesbury this weekend was, Donald Trump is about to tell his 10,000th lie. What will it be? It was, and it's true. I mean, it's so strange. But the fact of the matter is that nobody's going to put him in a structured mental health facility, and he is in the White House. So, what, in your opinion, is the way that the Democrats should deal with this essentially dangerous man in the White House?
Yes. They have to begin impeachment hearings immediately. It does, even if the impeachment hearings fail, which they might, he might not be convicted. They have to be started immediately.
Because
those have to include, because it has to be brought to the public even more so how dangerous he is. He has to be stopped, and there's no way I can think of to stop him. You said something before I came on about. I don't remember what word you used, but censuring.
Yeah, censuring.
Censuring doesn't really stop a person either. I guess you can. I don't know how you could censure a president. And clearly, they just announced in England. The Observer just wrote that they don't want him to come and see the Queen. They just feel that it's a criminal. They don't want a criminal president.
Right. Yeah. Well, an act of censure would be basically Congress saying to the American people, we repudiate these behaviors, and it would be a way of identifying those specific behaviors. The advantage of a censure resolution is that it can be passed by either house. It doesn't require both, and it only requires a majority vote, because there's no consequence to it, technically. But the big consequence is the publicity associated with it.
Yes, and the enumeration of why they're censuring him.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, whether they end up impeaching or whether they just look at the political landscape and say, okay, there's still not 50% plus support for impeachment, which is the threshold that Nixon passed in the week before he resigned.
Right.
If they can't hit that 50% public opinion, then at that point they just abandon impeachment and go for a censure. But at least they got it on the books. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think censuring makes so much sense. I never thought about that as a possibility because I don't know enough about the political side. As a medical person, I wanted him quarantined.
Yeah.
He really needs to be isolated from any capacity to make major decisions. And I don't know how you do that. But censuring would be a step in that direction. And then I do think they need to start impeachment proceedings. One of the things that the father of psychoanalysis said, Freud, oh, you're going off here?
Yeah, but you got 10 seconds here.
Okay. Thought is trial action, and it's time to act.